Hey there folks, Wrel here. With the future of PlanetSide 2 likely hinging on the big September update, I thought now would be a good time to share a list of 100 changes in no particular order that I'm personally crossing fingers for as we look toward the future. And given that the devs are actually working on the September update when this video is released, this video is meant to be more lighthearted than anything else. So you're going to find a combination of both amusing and important changes mixed in, but I'm not going to go into a whole lot of depth here. That said, number one is that Flash ATVs with turbos should be default, because that's kind of what makes a Flash in my opinion. Valkyries with squad spawn as default, or at the very least ejection seat by default. To me this is pretty crucial for making the Valkyrie a worthwhile vehicle, and then you can kind of build on it from there. Better integration with a web browser so that we can watch a player's streams and training videos as we play. That'd be pretty cool, right? A codex terminal at the warp gate that lets people look up training videos, look up other players, find outfits, and even read up on the game's lore, with faction propaganda popping up every once in a while. Some of the stuff you wouldn't need to have a terminal for, but having a physical tether to something like this is useful to the overall experience. Squad locks for gunner seats only so that squad transports can still pick up public players instead of locking them out entirely. A drop button to immediately hot drop non-gunners from your vehicle without having to lock it by hand, and probably another drop button so that we can kick out all the players in a vehicle. A fix for the shield bug that doesn't involve resupplying as a different class. For the devs to embrace the future, because even Battlefield 2142 was more techie than PlanetSide 2, which is set more than 700 years later. PlanetSide 2 is supposed to be a sci-fi shooter, so can we get some more sci in our fi? Contribution-based experience when it comes to base captures and defenses, so the reward experience should be scaled based on how much you've actually done during the fight itself. That way, focusing on objectives is more valuable overall. Of course, that'd probably require a properly working scoreboard, which should be completely revamped to display useful information, which right now it does not. Provided you get those two last things working, I would like to see the World Domination series make a comeback. And this I could do a whole video on because there's a lot of hatred surrounding it for very valid reasons, but when you look at the core of what it was trying to achieve, it could have been a very powerful motivator in the same way that alerts currently are. But it definitely needed the contribution-based experience and point system to encourage fights, instead of the ghost capping circle zergs. Bastion fleet carrier, Colossus tank, Empire-specific buggies, Territory 2.0, and the resource revamp. I know I just threw a lot of undefined, very nebulous concepts out at you, but those last few all mean very different things to very different people, as far as what their roles could be and what they're going to be doing for the game. A revamp for max units to serve primarily as damage soakers when it comes to infantry instead of damage dealers. The ability for ESF to avoid lock-ons through maneuvers instead of with flares or terrain. Main battle tanks getting a completely separate slot for their Empire-specific abilities, and then getting new Empire-specific abilities in the process. If you want examples, we can say that the Prowler gets an overdrive, so maybe a buff that increases your top speed and acceleration for a short time. The Mag Rider's default Mag Burner could be changed to an Omni Burner, and then we can give them a new ability that lets them cloak for a short while, because an emphasis on cloaking as a VS faction trait just kind of makes sense to me. And maybe we can get a barrel shield for Vanguards, so kind of like the NC Max's Aegis shield, so that they can block projectiles and shield allies in a way that actually takes some skill, so better uptime at the cost of less coverage. Faction-specific weapons for all Nanite Systems vehicles would be nice, player-generated missions, better rewards for the mission system that aren't certification points or experience, a way for newer players to warp closer to their mission system objective instead of their first mission being to try and figure out how to actually get to their mission, a better weapon trial system, one that's actually worth bothering with, Coal Tier for PC, battle rank unlocks to get removed once you decide to leave Coal Tier, new alert types, battle islands, intercontinental lattice, the ability to actually siege a warp gate and take control of it, medkits to have a higher resource cost or a cooldown between uses, restoration kits to heal more for longer, new utility slot items like Infradine, which allows you to have temporary night vision, or maybe something like Dazapalm, I don't know how to pronounce it, that could let you hold your breath for much longer while aiming down the scope. Or you can have a suicide stim that allows you to play dead for a short period of time. I'd like a second rank of adrenaline pump that also increases your jumping height. I would like the ability to slide into cover, I think that'd be a lot of fun. Light assaults could have some class-specific weapons that retain a minimal hipfire cone of fire while jump jetting, kind of like a spin fuser from Tribes. Deployable barriers, preferably as an alternative to the heavy assault shield instead of adding yet another deployable to the engineer class. A 1.5 second fuse on flashbangs and concussion grenades instead of the worthless 3 seconds that they're currently sitting on. A second implant slot would also be nice. Don't even need a combination system, anything fancy like that. Just being able to use 2 of them at the same time would allow for a lot more class customization. And speaking of class customization, more abilities, more tools, more suit slots, basically more of everything would be pretty nice. New ammo types that let us change up the feel of a weapon, or serve a different role entirely. More directive options to complete each tier, so something like 8 instead of the current 6 for infantry classes. Directive weapons that actually make sense for the directive being completed. This is talking primarily about the combined battle rifle and scout rifle directive that gives you a battle rifle reward, even though it does require 2 different classes and weapon types to pull off. Rebalancing some of the directives in general would be good too. AV grenades, for example, still require kills when they should probably require damage dealt. That would make it a much less painful experience instead of trying to scalp kills on max units to the detriment of your team. Outfits could use a lot of attention as well, so a solid leaderboard would be one of the first steps. It may sound like a minor thing, but websites like ps2alerts.com are especially successful because it helps encourage competition, and competition drives everything. Getting into it, I'd also like to see an outfit currency, so something that you could collect and save as an outfit to spend on temporary yet battle-changing stuff, the stuff that inspires awe in the same way that a bunch of galaxies flying out of the warp gate does. Outfit cosmetics would be cool too, so outfit uniforms, outfit vehicle camos, maybe even recoloring the bases that your outfit owns. It'd be nice to get squad or platoon leaders some bonus cosmetics as well, not just directive rewards, but stuff you can actually equip only when you have an active squad or platoon running. That'd be something like battle flags, or the command backpacks from PlanetSide 1, or maybe just really shiny auras. I'd like to see the PC user interface redone to match PS4's, albeit with more functionality. It's the style that I personally enjoy. A combine all button for the nanocycler would also be nice. It takes far too many clicks to put implants together at the moment. It's a real waste of time. There should be a lot more implants as well, so stuff that's really entertaining to use, has a sense of oomph to them, instead of being bonuses that you can mostly neglect. Empire-specific infantry class abilities could be fun as well. So would more underbarrel types. So would more weapons that can actually use underbarrels. Throwing knives and tomahawks can fit in your grenade slot, that'd be cool. More grenade and landmine types in general. I'd also like another look to be taken at the railjack, the trap, and the phase shift, as well as a second version of the archer to be made that does less max unit damage, but has a quicker rechamber time. The rocklet rifle should come out too, whatever that'll be. More use of physics, so maybe landmines that springboard enemy vehicles into the air instead of just blowing them up, or deployable grav lifts, things like that. Drop pod customization options, that would be kind of cool. More maneuverability to our drop pods would be great as well. Not as much as I used to have because that was crazy, but a little bit more than we've currently got. A torqued version of a TR LMG would be a nice addition. All pistols should be rebalanced to be as useful as the Commissioner and the Underboss. Shotguns should be rebalanced to have a longer time to kill, but more staying power. Amp stations and biolabs should have more substantial benefits to owning them. Interlink facilities should exist. Finish replacing the construction sites on Hassan, but keep one around for good measure. Weather, for smoke to work right on all graphical settings. For smoke screen to be remotely useful on ground vehicles. Build Recursion's real-time stat tracker into the default interface. Prorate items from bundles that we already own. Let us buy multiple items at a greater discount. Let us gift items to other accounts or other players. Make squad bonus experience a subscriber benefit instead of a boost-only benefit. Bind directive rewards to our account instead of our characters. Let us prestige in some way, so be it resetting our medals or our battle ranks, obviously with some benefits to go along with it. A tool item for the light assault, and you can feel free to decide whatever that might be in the comments section. Asymmetrical faction traits, not talking about the almost asymmetrical stuff that we have right now. I'm talking about getting benefits, vehicles, spawn options that no other faction has an equivalent for. I've talked about that a little bit in an episode of the Armchair Game Design series, so if you're interested, I'll definitely leave a link to that in the video description below for you. Rebalance the way that infantry interact with vehicles. I'm personally a fan of having stronger, bulkier vehicles that can take more damage, but deal much less burst damage to infantry. Instead, make it a suppression thing. Coaxial machine guns for drivers could be a good way to round things out as well. Deployable galaxies like the old days, max units passively getting a travel mode like in PlanetSide 1, new loading screens with more useful information like you see on the PS4 version of Coltier, a mirror in the VR training room so that we can check out our sexy cosmetic bodies, outfit alliances with their own chat and voice channels, the ability to name our squads, squad waypoint icons that look more distinct from one another outside of colors, more support for colorblind players, mentorship squads that automatically induct low battle ranking players, and when you press the insert key, attempt to put us in a squad with players fighting in the same area, instead of with people halfway across the map. Also, let us log in again at the warp gate instead of the map screen. Terrible change, I hate it so much. And finally, for the proposed LMG changes to be finalized and go live. If this video has been interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel, and if you have something you'd like to see in PlanetSide 2 in the future, let me know in the comment section down below. We all have a sort of vision of what the game can or should be, so it'll be really interesting to see what happens to it as we move toward September. Thanks very much, folks. Wrel signing off.
Done the TR proud today.